It's your guy who is never lying, sometimes defiant, TP Way the Giant. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in and rocking with me, man. Y'all know why I am here. I know why y'all are here. We know why we are gathered today, man. The New York Football Giants did it. It was only a matter of time. We could end all speculation. Coach Brian Daboll has been relieved of his duties. Yes. Yes, it had to have happened. It had to have happened. I'm not going to sit here and lack lack class and celebrate a man getting fired, man. At the end of the day, that is a man who has a family, and so we don't do that over here. But we are not going to act like that I am not joyous of the fact that the New York Football Giants did their first big move. First, and I say first because the job is not finished. We still have to replace that seat, and we have to bring in the right guy. So the job is not finished, but we did the first big move, man, in order for us to head towards the trajectory, man, that we need to head towards to. And so I can't be mad at that. I can't be mad at that. I do want to go back real quick, man. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back to a time in 2022 when Coach Brian Daboll was brought here. I know for me, the first impression that I had on Coach Brian Daboll was he's not a suit guy. He's not a suit guy. I remember him walking in to address the press and address Giants Nation, and he had on a suit that I felt like, he just bought. That isn't something he had, in his closet. And the reason why I bring that up is because I said, okay, this is a grit guy. This is a grit guy. This is a guy who brings passion. This is a guy who likes to get, his hands dirty. And as time went on, I believed that to be true. Because we all know 2022 was a special year. It was so special that Coach Brian Daboll was awarded and deserving of Coach of the Year. We went 9-7-1, and he definitely brought a spark to the New York Football Giants. Prior to that, we was 4-13. And so the fact that we was able to make the playoffs, man, and we beat teams that we weren't supposed to beat. If it was New York Giant football again, man, it was a great time. We had fun that year. And so I'm only going to speak for myself because we know how people do. People always like to be right. People always like to, I knew the whole time and all this other stuff. I'm going to speak for myself. In 2023, I was in the car. And I just knew. We was going to build on our 2022 performance, and that was not the case. We started to see, the egos fill the room and of the coaching staff, and we start to see the locker room being lost at times, and it was rough, man. We were 6-11. Then in 2024, there was still optimism for me. Because we weren't so far removed from Coach of the Year, Brian Daboll, man. But the fact still remains, we digged the even deeper hole, man. We went 3-14. 3-14, and that is when I started to put the flashlight on Coach Brian Daboll. 2014. Then, of course, leading up to date, as of right now, we are 2-8. So, again, I say, it was only right, man, we made this happen because that is just not good enough. Now, Mike Kafka will be the interim head coach, and I think that will be a little interesting because we want to see if there's going to be any major changes. We're going to see how these games are being coached from here on out as Mike Kafka takes the head coaching charges. Will he do enough to state a case that, he deserves the head coaching job in the future? I don't necessarily look at Mike Kafka as such, but we can appreciate whatever new that is going to be brought to this team for the remainder of the year. Joe Schoen is safe. Joe Schoen is safe. I'm going to read you a statement real quick on what Steve Tisch and John Mara has put out as far as Joe Schoen is concerned. John Mara says, we feel like Joe has assembled a good young nucleus of talent, and we look forward to his development. Unfortunately, the results over the past 3 years have not been what any of us want. We take full responsibility for those results and look forward to the kind of success our fans expect. These are difficult decisions, and John and I do not take them lightly, said Tisch. But we feel like this is the right thing to do at this time and will allow us to move forward. And I am not completely mad at it. I know that there was a lot of the fan base that stood on the side of get rid of everybody. Get rid of everybody. And I understand that train of thought because that GM and head coach relationship is super important. They have to be on the same page in order for this machine to work. I get it. I also was in the belief that in my order of importance, Brian Daboll was at the top. Coach Brian Daboll was at the top because when I look at the talent that was brought in under the Joe Schoen era, I say to myself, man, damn, we are bringing in the talent. We have talented guys. But these guys are not being developed. These guys are not being put in their best place to succeed. And that is not a Joe Schoen thing. That is a Coach Brian Daboll thing. Now, of course, from here on out, I mean, we're going to still remain to put the flashlight on Joe Schoen as well. We still got to keep our attention on Joe Schoen as well. But again, I thought that the biggest and the most important order of business was always Coach Brian Daboll. Because how many times have we seen players leave and take that leap? I think enough players have left the New York Football Giants and look like the better version of themselves and grown and developed elsewhere. That is a coaching issue. And that is a big issue, and that is something that can't be no longer swept under the rug and it had to have been addressed. Now, for all of the Brian Daboll fans out there, I mean, look, y'all were telling me that you were nervous about your rookie quarterback getting a new head coach. You were nervous about the risk of bringing in a new head coach for our new QB1 and what that relationship would entail and all of these things that y'all were telling me. But the way I saw it was the risk to me. The risk was keeping Coach Brian Daboll here. The risk was keeping him here knowing that we went 6-11, 3-14, and now are 2-8, and saying to ourselves, you know what, we're going to bring him back. That to me was the risk. So it is only right that this happened. It is only right. I want to know in the comments how y'all feel. I want to know in the comments, what do you think as far as who should be next in this seat? I haven't started that research personally. I will be doing so, man. I know as of right now, just to throw out a name, Coach Cliff Kingsbury is in my mind right now. That's who I have in my mind. But I'm going to, continue to do some more research and, and get into that conversation and that talking piece as to who I would like to see in this head coaching role. But again, man, I went to sleep and I woke up and my phone was booming. My phone was absolutely booming. And I thought to myself, the first thing that I thought, man, was, okay, it must have went down. It must have went down. And everybody who has reached out to me, everybody who has hit me up, whether they were a New York Giant fan or not, they all they all was in the context of, oh yes, it should have happened. It should have happened. And there were even some people saying, because the New York Giants might just be great again coming soon. And so, with that being said, man, I'm going to leave it at that. We're going to keep our ears to the streets. Yes, it has happened. And look, New York Giants, salute to each and every one of you. Thank y'all for tuning in and rocking with me, man. Like always, please make sure that you like this video, show your love, subscribe to the channel, especially if you're a New York Giant fan. I will holla at y'all, and until I holla at y'all, Fee-Fi-Fo-FUMM. Peace.
Gotta say to the camera.